All right. You can take out your 5.2 notes, 5.2a notes. We're going to look at point slope form here. And the learning target for this section is I can write an equation of a line in point slope form. So that's what we're going to talk about quick is what is point slope form? Slope intercept form we already talked about yesterday or previously. Slope intercept is y equals mx plus b. Point slope is going to be the new form that we look at. So let's kind of take a look below this. And here it is. So make sure you have this down. It might already be written down, but it says assume we know 1 point x1, y1. Assume we know 1 point on a graph and the slope as well. So let's say we know what m is, and that's going to be our m, and we know 1 point on the graph. Let's say we know x1 and we know y1. Then the point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. That is the point slope form, okay? And there are some benefits of point slope form, and sometimes when you want to use it, and sometimes when you don't. Okay, so I want to make sure you write down all of these. This is a little flow chart that we can look back on from what we've already done. Now we've talked about three different forms of linear equations. When we need to write an equation of a line, we can use this flow chart right here. Okay, so this is kind of a summary of what we have learned, like all the formulas that we've learned so far. So whenever you're given a point and a slope, or you're just given 2 points, you can use all of these different formulas. Okay, if you need to find the slope, you can use a slope formula, which is what we talked about before. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You might need to use that slope formula once in a while if we need to get it. We also talked about yesterday simply just using slope intercept form, mx plus b, to just plug in our point and slope and go from there. Today, what we're going to look at is we can also just use point slope form, this formula, to get to the same answer that we had yesterday. And then tomorrow, or the next time we talk, we'll also talk about standard form and how to put our equations into standard form here. Okay, I'm not sure if these are written down in your notes, but you can pause it or get these down because we're going to see this chart, quite a bit. All right, so let's take a look and see how this would work. So if you look at example 1, it says write an equation in point slope form. Okay, so point slope form. Once I see that point slope form, I'm going to know, okay, that means y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. That is the equation I'm going to use. Okay. Now they give me a point. Okay. They tell me that -2 and 7 is the point that the line goes through. And it also tells me we have a slope of -3/2. So the nice thing about this form is that it's called point slope, and when you're given a point and a slope like we have here, we can literally just plug it in to the components that we have. Okay, so you can see we have a slope of -3/2. I'm going to plug that into m. My x value, okay, I'm going to treat this, by the way, as this is going to be my x1, and the other part of this, let me zoom in a little bit here. This is going to be my x1. This is going to be my y1. Okay, that is the sample point that they give us, one of the solutions they give us. So I know that my x1 is -2, so I'm going to be plugging in -2 there. And my y1 is 7, so I'm going to be plugging in 7 there. So the nice thing about point slope form is that you can just plug in all of your information as is right away in the problem. So I say y minus, and then y1 is 7. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in 7. The slope is negative 3 halves. So I'm going to plug in negative 3 halves. And then I'm going to say x minus. Now, x1 is negative 2. So I'm going to have this double negative here. So it's going to be x minus negative 2. But again, you can see all I did was plug in the information that was given to me. Okay, I got 7, negative 2. I plugged in the slope here. And there it is. Okay, so let me just rewrite my equation here. So if we have, this is point slope form, y minus 7 equals 3 halves times now x plus 2. This right now is in point slope form. So if the problem said, write an equation in point slope form and be done with it, then this would be my answer. I would just leave my answer in this form. This is point slope form. Okay, and that's it. I just plug it in and be done. Okay, but this problem does say to rewrite the equation in slope-intercept form. So now we're saying, okay, we did this yesterday. Now let's say we put it into point slope form, but now we want to change it into slope-intercept form. Now you might be saying, well, didn't we do that? We did this yesterday. We just did it a different way. And that's true. So as you'll see in algebra, there's several ways to solve a problem. There's many ways to get this done. Point slope form is has pros and cons as you go through, but it's a very popular form that we'll use quite a bit here. So how do we do this? Well, first of all, this is negative. This should be negative 3 halves. If we want to change it to slope-intercept form, all we're going to do is multiply this out. We're just going to distribute this negative 3 halves. We're going to go ahead and distribute that to get negative 3 halves x. And then this would be minus 3 halves times 2 is 3. So minus 3. Okay. And then to get y all by itself, we're going to add 7. And so now we'd say, well, y equals, okay, these would cancel off. We get negative 3 halves x. Minus 3 plus 7 is plus 4. And there's our slope-intercept form. Okay, so the new form that we're learning is point slope form, and this is a very important form here. It's very similar and equivalent to what we've already done. It's just a different way to enter into the problem and process the problem. This form will be very, very useful, as you'll see as you go throughout math, and we're going to get used to looking at this one today.